as we commemorate the Nelson Mandela International Day of 2025, a day that gives respect to the standard minimum rules for the treatment of prisoners, our story takes a personal look into the true value of life. Reports are often data-heavy and hardly put a face to those figures. Today, Arise News speaks to an ex-inmate who has spent 10 years in prison for an alleged crime with no conviction. 10 years under harsh prison conditions of overcrowding, poor prison health, and inequality.
I was going to school when they arrested me as a suspect for robbery. Then they took me to prison. I stayed there for 10 years awaiting trial. After a while, the authorities realized that I was not an armed robber and that I was indeed innocent. While in prison, I learned how to make furniture through a program run by the UNODC. When I left prison, the skills I learned in furniture making is what is currently sustaining me, and I'm also training others. I appreciate the UNDOC because they've taken me to where I had never imagined. There are many others in prison who need help. I pray that God helps them in the way He helped me.
This individual account is sadly one of many across Nigeria, where high numbers of inmates remain in prolonged pre-trial detention at great cost to individuals, families, and communities. Overcrowded facilities and limited budgets have resulted in dire prison conditions that pose serious risk to inmates' health and dignity. In response, key stakeholders, including the United Nations Resident and Humanitarian Coordinator, the UNODC Country Representative, national human rights officials, and Nigeria's Minister of Interior, gathered to discuss ongoing reforms aimed at improving prison conditions and expanding access to justice.
The story of that gentleman is a very sad one because he lost 10 years of his life without a trial and without prosecution, which means that basically our obligation to make sure that everyone has its day in court was not fulfilled. Thankfully, with the Gombe states, they were able to do the right things. But how many people are in that situation?
Through a series of targeted initiatives, the UNODC continues to push for more meaningful dialogue and structural change, driven by a commitment to justice for the most vulnerable. As Nelson Mandela once said, "No one truly knows a nation until one has been inside its jails." Today you've heard the story of one man. Behind the bars of prisons across Nigeria, countless others remain unheard. Yolanda Robert, Arise News.